This video covers configuration steps for the thinkorswim desktop platform to ensure optimal performance and efficient workspace setup. First, we need to increase the memory allocation. At the bottom of the login screen, you'll see a gear icon. Go ahead and click on that. This is one of the most important tweaks you can make. By default, thinkorswim is set to use only 1,536 megabytes of RAM. When you're running multiple charts with studies, watch lists, and scanning tools, this can cause the platform to lag, freeze, or even crash. A good rule of thumb is to allocate no more than 40 to 50% of your total RAM to thinkorswim, so your system stays responsive while running other applications. You can adjust this based on your computer's available RAM. If you have 8 gigabytes of RAM, use 3072. If you have 16 gigabytes, use 6144. If you have 32 gigabytes, use 12288. If you have 64 gigabytes, use 24,576. The key is to give thinkorswim enough memory to handle all your data smoothly without bogging down your entire computer. Once you've adjusted the maximum value, click Save, and we're ready to log in. When you first open thinkorswim, it will display a setup wizard to help you get started. You'll see several pre-built workspace templates here: Default, Futures, Active Trader, and others. Since we're going to build our own custom structure from scratch, go ahead and select Default, then click Next. On the next screen, you can choose your font size and spacing preferences. This is purely personal preference. I'm going to stick with medium font and normal spacing, but feel free to adjust these to whatever feels comfortable for your eyes. Click Next again, and you'll see some tutorial videos from the Learning Center website. These are great resources you can watch later, but for now, let's skip ahead and get started building our workspace. Click Get Started, and we'll jump right in. Let me give you a quick overview of the main thinkorswim interface. At the top, you have your main menu bar with Monitor, Trade, Analyze, Scan, Market Watch, Charts, Tools, Education, and Help. Each of these has a submenu that appears below when you click on them. On the right side of the top bar, you'll see buttons for Home Screen, Messages, Support, Chat Rooms, and Setup. On the left side, you have what's called the sidebar. This is where you can add various gadgets and tools. By default, you'll see things like Account Info, Live News, Trader TV, Watch List, and Quick Chart. You can completely customize this sidebar to show exactly what you need. You can add gadgets using the plus sign at the bottom, rearrange them by clicking the gear icon and dragging, or remove them entirely by clicking the X. Each gadget has its own customization options depending on what gadget you choose. For example, on a watch list gadget, you'll see a gear icon that lets you customize the columns. On a quick chart, you'll see a list button which lets you configure chart settings, studies, and more. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you add too many gadgets or they aren't sized to fit properly, you'll see a blue haze appear at the top or bottom of the sidebar. That means there's overflow and you'll need to use the up and down arrows to scroll through your gadgets. After customizing your sidebar and workspace, you'll want to save everything so you don't have to rebuild it from scratch. Let me show you how to save your workspace. Go up to the top right and click on Setup. In the drop-down menu, you'll see Save Workspace As. Go ahead and click that. A dialog box will pop up asking you to name your workspace. You can call it whatever you want, something that makes sense to you. I'm going to call mine Sage Innovations Layout, but you might want to use something like My Trading Setup or Daily Workspace, whatever works for you. Once you've named it, click Save. Now your workspace is saved, and you can load it anytime from that same setup menu. You'll see it listed under your available workspaces. You can also delete any old layouts that you don't want anymore from that same setup menu. Just make sure you aren't deleting anything that you want to use again. You'll notice there's a workspace called Street Smart Edge. That's a system workspace. It will be put back if you delete it, so just leave that one alone. Keep in mind, saving the workspace will save all screens that are open at the time of saving, so this is a useful way to reload all your screens at once. Here's something important to know. Even if you have your application settings configured to start up with the last used environment, thinkorswim has a quirky behavior when you log off and log back on. It will load your last used environment, but the sizing and spacing won't display correctly. This is particularly noticeable on the left sidebar. Your gadgets won't be sized like you had them before. To fix this, you'll need to manually reload your saved workspace from the Setup menu after you log in. This will restore all your sizing and spacing back to how you saved it. Let's take a look at the Application Settings menu. This is where you can customize how thinkorswim works for your specific needs. Go to Setup in the top right, then click on Application Settings. This opens up a whole world of customization options. Now, there are a lot of settings here, and honestly, there is no single right way to configure them. Your settings will depend on your trading style, your account permissions with your broker, and your personal preferences. But let me give you a quick overview of what's available. At the top, you'll see tabs for General, Notifications, Order Defaults, Hotkeys, and My Profile. On the left side, you'll see different options that can be configured depending on which tab you're on. Take some time to explore these settings on your own. Click through the different categories and tabs, read the descriptions, and adjust things that make sense for how you trade. You can always come back and change them later if something isn't working for you. The important thing is that these settings are here when you need them, and they let you tailor thinkorswim to fit exactly how you want to trade. Let's talk about the Charts grid and the Flexible grid. You'll find these under the Charts tab. The Charts grid is locked into a uniform grid structure like 3x2 or 4x3, with the sidebar either locked on or off for all cells in the grid. The Flex grid lets you have different numbers of cells in each row or column with independent sidebar enabling for each cell. To customize the Flex grid, look for the grid icon in the upper right corner. Check the Customize Grid box. This will show an option panel in the middle of each cell. Use the option panel to split or remove the cells and arrange your layout however you want. See the chain link icon at the top of each gadget? That controls gadget linking. You can link up to 9 different groups, giving you complete control over which gadgets update together and which ones don't. Notice the sidebar checkboxes in the option panels? This shows or hides the sidebar for that cell. Enter a symbol to pull data into the cell to see the sidebar. When the sidebar is displayed, it appears in the cell on the right showing all available gadgets. You can select which gadgets you want or don't want in the cell. You cannot control the placement of multiple gadgets in the same cell. When the sidebar is unchecked, the panel is hidden. Using the hamburger menu on the cell does not switch the gadget, it adds it to the cell. If you want to switch a gadget, you have to make the changes from the sidebar. When you are finished setting up your cells, uncheck the Customize Grid box in the Grid icon menu to remove the option panels from the cells. Then select Save Flexible Grid As from the Grid icon menu. Name the grid, and now the layout is saved and ready to load anytime. One of the most powerful but confusing things about thinkorswim is that there are usually multiple ways to access the same feature. Understanding these different paths is essential because depending on your screen size, chart layout, or what gadget you're working with, some icons might not be visible while others are. Let's use accessing the Studies menu as an example. Method 1, Direct Icon. Look for the beaker icon at the top of your chart. Click it, and you go straight to Edit Studies. This is the fastest method when the icon is visible. Method 2, Drop-down Menu. There's a beaker icon with a small down arrow next to it. Click that, and you'll see a drop-down menu with all study-related options, including Edit Studies, Add Study, and more. Method 3, Chart Menu. See the 3-bar hamburger icon at the far right of the chart bar? Click that to open the complete chart menu. From there, go to Studies, then Edit Studies. It's in the submenu near the top of the list. Method 4, Right-click. Right-click anywhere on the chart itself to open the same complete menu, but the order is reversed. The submenus will be near the bottom of this menu instead of the top. When you're working with multiple charts in a flex grid, some might be sized smaller than others. A small chart might not show all the icons on the chart bar. You might only see the symbol field, time frame, and hamburger menu. Knowing the alternate paths means you can always get where you need to go regardless of chart size. The same principle applies throughout thinkorswim. There's usually an icon shortcut, a drop-down menu, or a right-click menu that all lead to the same destination. If you don't see the icon you need, look for the 3-bar menu or try right-clicking. Let's talk about sharing. When someone shares a thinkorswim item with you, they'll give you a URL link. This link might be for a custom study, a flex grid layout, or a complete workspace setup. The process for importing is the same regardless of what type of item it is. To import a shared item, go to the Setup menu in the top right corner and select Open Shared Item. A dialog box will appear with a field where you can paste the shared link. Copy the URL you received and paste it into that field. Click Preview to load the URL. This lets Thinkorswim verify and load what you're importing. Before clicking Import, make sure the box that says Open Shared Items after I press Import is checked. This checkbox is critical. If you don't check it, only the custom studies will be imported to your ThinkScript library, but the actual grid layout or workspace structure will not. You'll lose the entire layout. So make sure that box is checked, then click Import. If it's a flex grid, it will load that grid layout, showing you exactly how the creator configured it. If it's a workspace, it will load the entire workspace structure, including all the screens and layouts. If it's a chart, it will load the chart. If there are any custom scripts, Thinkorswim will automatically add them to your ThinkScript library under the Tools menu. When you import a flex grid, workspace, or chart, they are not automatically saved. If you want to keep it, you'll need to save it yourself. For a flex grid, click the grid icon and select Save Flexible Grid as and give it a name. For a workspace, go to Setup and select Save Workspace as and name it. For a chart, select the candlestick icon for the Style menu. In that menu, select Save Style. Check the box to include patterns and study set when you save the chart style. If you only imported a custom study, then it will be added to the list of studies available. When you import studies from a shared link, Thinkorswim automatically adds the custom scripts to your ThinkScript library. Native Thinkorswim studies won't be added. They're already built into the platform. Only custom scripts get imported. You can find these imported scripts by going to the Tools menu at the top, then selecting the ThinkScript subsection. That's where all your custom scripts are stored. Here's something to be aware of. Every imported study gets the word shared added to the front of its name. So if the original study was called Traffic Light, it will now appear as Shared Traffic Light in your library. Now, if you import the same studies more than once, maybe you didn't know where to find them the first time and imported them again, Thinkorswim will create duplicates. It adds a number to the end of each duplicate study name. So you might see Shared Traffic Light, Shared Traffic Light 0, Shared Traffic Light 1, and so on. You can delete the duplicates by right-clicking on them and selecting Delete. This matters when you're adding studies to a chart. When you open the Studies menu and start typing or scrolling to find a study, they're listed alphabetically. That means all your imported studies will be grouped together under the letter S for Shared instead of being filed under their actual names. If you want to clean up the shared prefix, you can rename the studies. Find the study you want to rename, right-click on it, and select Rename. Edit the name to remove shared from the front. This puts the study back in alphabetical order by its actual name, making it easier to find when you're building charts. Keep in mind, you'll need to rename them one by one. There's no bulk rename option, so if you imported a lot of studies, this will take a few minutes. But once it's done, your study library will be much easier to navigate. Let's walk through how to add studies to your charts. The fastest way is to click the beaker icon at the top of your chart. This opens the Edit Studies panel where you'll see two main sections. The left side shows all available studies, and the right side shows the studies currently applied to your chart. To add a study, you can either scroll through the alphabetical list on the left, or use the search bar at the top to find what you're looking for. Once you find the study you want, you can double-click it to add it immediately, or click it and then click the Add button at the bottom left. If you're adding multiple studies at once, you can select several studies from the left side before clicking Add. Click one study, then hold Shift and click another to select everything in between. Or hold Control and click individual studies to select multiple non-consecutive studies. Once you have all the studies you want selected, click the Add button and they'll all move to the right side at once. To remove a study, hover over it and click the X icon on the right side. To temporarily turn a study off without removing it completely, click the eye icon to turn off the visibility. This keeps the study in your list, but hides it from the chart. This is useful for testing, learning, or comparing. You can see how your chart looks with, or without, a specific study without having to remove it and add it back later. You can rearrange the order of your studies by clicking and dragging them up or down in the right side list. Be aware, the order matters for layering. Studies listed higher will display in front of studies listed lower, which is especially important for labels that appear in a row at the top of your chart. Each study has its own settings. To configure a study, double-click the study name or click the gear icon on the right. This opens the study settings where you can adjust inputs, change colors, modify line styles, or adjust alert settings. When you're working with the study settings, you'll see an Apply button and an OK button. Apply lets you see your changes on the chart while keeping the settings panel open, so you can continue making adjustments. OK applies your changes and closes the settings panel. Here's something to be aware of. If you change a study settings and click Apply, Thinkorswim will move that study to the bottom of the list. You'll see the layering change on your chart immediately. Labels will shift position, but the studies list won't update to show the new order. You can close the settings panel and reopen it, or you can move the study up and down then click Apply again. It's a quirky behavior, but knowing this will save you confusion when changing a study settings and your layering suddenly changes. Let's explore the chart settings where you can customize how your charts display and behave. Click the gear icon at the top of your chart or find it in the Style submenu. Once you're in the chart settings, you'll see several tabs along with an alert message that says, "These settings affect all chartings." This is where Thinkorswim gets a bit confusing. The time zone setting is truly global. It affects all charts throughout the platform. But most other settings only affect the specific chart you're working with. If you make changes and want to go back to the original settings, click the Reset to Chart Default button at the bottom left of the settings panel. Keep in mind this will reset all the tab settings for the chart, not just the tab you're on. Looking at the panel, you'll see tabs for equities, options, futures, and forex. Each of these tabs controls the settings for when that type of symbol is loaded in your chart. So, if you want to hide the volume subgraph on all your charts regardless of symbol type, you'd need to uncheck it on all 4 tabs. Same goes for extended hours display. If you want pre-market and after-hours data showing on stocks, but not on futures, you'd check it under Equities, but leave it unchecked under Futures. Under the Appearance tab, you can customize your chart's visual look. You'll find options for candle types, background color, grid style, and overall theme. Click on the color boxes to change background colors, grid line colors, and more. The Favorite Timeframes tab lets you create custom timeframes with specific settings. Select your aggregation type, time, tick, or range. Choose intraday, daily, or custom, then set your time interval and aggregation period. Once you've configured it the way you want, click Add to save it to your favorites list for future use. You can move time frames up or down in the list or delete them altogether. Under the Time Axis tab, you can remove certain timeline markers that might clutter your chart, things like rollover lines, expiration Fridays, or year marking lines. You can also set how many bars you want to show to the right of the current candle. This expansion area is useful for analysis purposes or for displaying certain studies that need that extra space. A helpful feature in this tab is the Keep Time Zoom checkbox. When this is checked, your zoom level stays consistent when you load the chart with a different symbol instead of reverting back to the default zoom. Under the Price Axis tab, you'll find 2 settings that affect how your chart scales: Fit Studies and Fit Study Markers. By default, these are both checked. When Fit Studies is checked, Thinkorswim automatically adjusts the price scale to fit all your studies, lines, clouds, and bands. This can compress your chart depending on what studies you have loaded, making your price candles smaller and harder to read. When Fit Study Markers is checked, the price axis scales to keep all study arrows visible on screen, even if they're far above or below current price. This affects studies that plot arrows like reversal indicators or buy-sell signals. The fastest way to toggle these on or off is by clicking the price axis icon in the upper right corner of the chart. Understanding how to move around your charts efficiently is essential for analyzing price action. Here's how to zoom, scroll through time, and adjust your chart scale. You can drag the time axis at the bottom of the chart to condense or expand the time view. Dragging right makes the candles narrower so you can see more bars on the chart. Dragging left makes the candles wider so you see fewer bars but with more detail. You can use the magnifier icons at the bottom of the chart if the time axis is not visible. Don't want to scrunch up your candles to look back in time? Set your zoom to a comfortable level and use your mouse wheel to scroll backward or forward through historical data. Scroll up to go back in time and see older bars. Scroll down to move forward toward current data. If you don't have a mouse wheel, look at the very bottom of your chart. You'll see a horizontal scroll bar. Click and drag that scroll bar to look through the timeline. You can zoom to a specific area on a chart by clicking and dragging to select the specific range you want to see. Click where you want to start, drag to where you want to end, then release. The chart will zoom to fit exactly that range you selected. All charts load in auto-scale mode by default. In auto-scale mode, the price scale adjusts automatically as price moves and as you scroll through the timeline. If you drag the price axis up or down, the chart will automatically switch to manual mode. In manual mode, you control the exact price range displayed, but price action can go out of view if the movement is larger than what you have it set to display. If that happens, you can switch it back to auto by clicking the price axis icon in the upper right corner, and it will reset the price scale. Chart styles are one of the most powerful time-saving features in thinkorswim. Instead of manually adding the same studies to every chart, you configure one chart completely, save it as a style, and then load that style to any other chart in just a few clicks. Once you've configured one chart with all your studies, settings, and visual preferences, click on the candlestick icon. This is the Style menu. In that menu, select Save Style As. A dialog box will appear asking you to name your style. Give it a descriptive name that tells you what it contains. Something like 5-minute scalping, or daily swing setup, or main chart style. Don't forget to check the box to include patterns and study set. Without it, you're only saving the visual appearance, not the studies. You'd have to manually add all your studies again each time you load the style, which defeats the entire purpose. Click OK and your style is now saved. To apply a save style to any chart, go back to the Style menu. Look in the Load Style submenu. Click on the one you want and it instantly applies to the chart. All the studies, colors, settings, everything loads exactly as you configured it. After you save the first style, configure the next time frame and studies, then save it with a new name. Repeat the process until you have all your time frames and studies configured for each style you want to create. If you have old styles you no longer use, you can delete them to keep your list clean. In the Style menu, select Delete Styles. This opens showing all your saved styles. Select the one you want to remove, then click Yes on the confirmation window. Chart styles can save you hours of repetitive work. Take the time now to build your styles once so you can apply them everywhere in an instant. Drawing tools let you mark up your charts with lines, shapes, and annotations to highlight key levels and document your analysis. Let's walk through how to access and use these tools. Click the arrow icon at the top of your chart to open the Drawings menu. Under Drawing Tools, you'll see options for lines, shapes, Fibonacci tools, text annotations, and more. If you select a tool from this menu, that tool stays active for all your actions until you change it. To use a drawing tool just once without locking yourself into it, right-click your chart at the location where you want to start your drawing, go to Add a Drawing, and select what you want. The drawing will be placed at the point where you right-clicked. From there you can drag the anchor points to adjust the size, angle, or endpoint. For line-based tools like trend lines or horizontal lines, move your cursor, then click to set your endpoint. For shapes like rectangles, create the shape, then release. Once you've drawn something, you can modify it. Click on the drawing to select it, and you'll see anchor points appear. Drag these to adjust the size, angle, or position. Double-click or right-click any drawing and select Edit Properties to change colors, price values, dates, and other settings. To move a drawing without changing its shape, click where there are no anchor points and drag it to a new location. Your drawings save automatically with your chart. When you close and reopen that chart, your drawings will still be there. However, drawings are tied to the specific symbol. If you switch symbols, you'll need to draw on the new symbol. If you change time frames, drawings display based on their date and time settings. If your time frame doesn't support those settings, the drawing won't appear until you switch to a compatible time frame. To delete a drawing, select it and press Delete, or right-click and select Remove Drawing. Detaching windows is useful when you want to move parts of thinkorswim to a second monitor, or just have certain tools floating independently on your screen. To detach any window, click the hamburger menu on that window and select Detach. This creates a separate floating window that you can move anywhere on your screen or drag to another monitor. You can resize it just like any other window. You can detach multiple windows, charts, watch lists, trade tabs, whatever you need accessible independently. One thing to know, once a window is detached, there is no way to reattach it back into the main platform. Once you have your detached windows arranged the way you want them, save your workspace from the Setup menu. thinkorswim will remember the position and size of every detached window, so your entire layout reloads exactly as you left it. When you close thinkorswim, always close it from the main window, not from a detached window. Closing a detached window only closes that window while the platform keeps running. Closing the main window closes everything. thinkorswim lets you enter orders directly from your chart without having to navigate to the Trade tab. Click on the chart bar at the top where the price information is displayed, and you'll see a context menu with several order options. The simplest options are Buy and Sell. These open the order entry panel where you can set your quantity, order type, and price before sending. Buy Custom and Sell Custom open submenus with 3 pre-configured bracket options. The OCO bracket order creates an entry order plus 2 opposing orders, a profit target, and a stop loss. When one of those opposing orders fills, the other automatically cancels. The stop order creates an entry order paired with a stop loss order. The stop limit order creates an entry order paired with a stop limit order. Selecting any of these opens the order entry panel with an order structure already built. From here you can customize every detail, price, quantity, order type, and time in force for each leg of the order. In the lower left of the order entry panel, you'll see the Advanced Order drop-down. This lets you further modify the order structure using options like Single Order, OCO, First Triggers OCO, First Triggers to OCO, and more. These advanced structures let you build sophisticated multi-leg orders where one order triggers another, or where filling one order automatically cancels others. Take a moment to read through every row of the order from left to right. Check the side, quantity, symbol, order type, price, and time in force on each leg. Multi-leg orders especially can have a lot of details to verify. A moment of careful review before sending can save you from a costly mistake. Once your order is configured exactly how you want it, click Confirm and Send. A confirmation dialog will show you the full order details before it's submitted. One important thing to note, the order entry methods covered here are for placing new orders. If you already have an open position and want to add brackets, stops, or profit targets to it after the fact, that's done from the Monitor tab where your active positions are displayed, not from the chart. Any custom order structures you build can be saved as templates for future use, making it faster to place the same type of order again without rebuilding it from scratch. Let's cover the core order types you'll use in thinkorswim. Market order executes immediately at the current market price. This guarantees execution but not the price, especially in fast-moving markets. Works the same for entry and exit. Limit order executes only at your specified price or better. This guarantees your price but not execution. For entries, a buy limit is placed below current price waiting for price to come down to you. A sell limit for short entries is placed above current price. For exits, limit orders are your profit targets, where you want price to go. A sell limit above current price takes profit on long positions. A buy limit below current price takes profit on short positions. These are not protective stops, they're your goal destination. Stop order becomes a market order when price reaches your trigger price. For entries, a buy stop is placed above current price to catch breakouts. A sell stop is placed below to catch breakdowns for shorts. For exits, Stop orders are your protective stops, where you don't want to be but need to get out to limit losses. A sell stop below current price protects long positions. A buy stop above current price protects short positions. Once triggered, it executes as a market order, which may fill at a different price than your stop level in fast markets. Stop limit order becomes a limit order when triggered instead of a market order. This gives you price control on protective stops, but carries execution risk. If price moves too fast through your limit level, the order may not fill at all, leaving you unprotected. Trailing stop, a dynamic protective stop that moves with price as it goes in your favor. You set a trail amount in dollars or percentage. As price moves favorably, the stop follows at your specified distance. If price reverses but doesn't hit the trailing amount, the stop holds that level. If price resumes moving favorably, the trailing stop continues to follow. This is a protective tool that locks in gains as price moves your way. It's not a profit target where you want to exit, but rather a way to protect profits you've already built while giving the trade room to continue. The order triggers when price reverses back to the trailing stop level. Trailing stop limit uses two separate order components working together. You set a fixed limit price and a trailing stop price. Initially, the limit price is above the trailing stop. If price drops to the limit first, it executes as a limit order and cancels the trailing stop. As price moves in your favor, the trailing stop follows it higher while the limit price stays fixed. If the trailing stop rises above the limit price, then if price reverses and hits the trailing stop, it executes as a market order and cancels the limit. Whichever level is on top triggers first and cancels the other order. This combines baseline protection from the limit with the dynamic profit locking of the trailing stop. MOC, market on close, executes at the market closing price during the closing auction. Your entering or exiting at whatever price is established at market close. Must be submitted before the exchange cutoff time, typically around 3:50 p.m. Eastern. Cannot be canceled after cutoff. LOC, limit on close, executes at the closing price only if that price meets your specified limit. Gives you price protection while participating in the closing auction. Must also be submitted before the cutoff time. These order types are available across stocks, options, and futures, though availability may vary by instrument and market conditions. Alerts notify you when specific conditions are met on a symbol, so you don't have to watch the screen constantly. Let's walk through how to create them. To create an alert, click on the price display in the chart bar or right-click anywhere on the chart. From the menu, select Create Alert. This opens the Alert Configuration dialog. At the top, Notify Me On defaults to price condition, but you can change it to portfolio metric, calendar event, news, or rating change. The symbol field autofills with your current chart symbol, but you can change it to any symbol you want. The spread dropdown defaults to stock. Leave this on stock unless you're an experienced trader creating alerts for advanced option spreads. Now let's set up your price trigger. The price dropdown lets you choose what price type to monitor: last, bid, ask, mark, volume-related metrics, close, or study values. Most traders stick with one of the standard price types for basic alerts. Next, choose your condition. At or above triggers when price reaches or goes above your level. At or below triggers when price reaches or goes below your level. Notice the lock icon next to the price field. When the lock is off, the price field updates in real time as the market moves. You can also set an offset using the percentage, dollar amount, or tick buttons. The price field shows the live current price, but when you create the alert, it calculates the trigger price based on your offset. For example, if you set plus 10% and the price is $300 when you click Create, your alert will trigger at $330. When you toggle the lock on, the price field stays static. You type in a specific price, and it won't change even if the market moves while you're filling out the rest of the form. The Add OCO condition button lets you add a second condition to create more complex alerts. Once you've set up your alert trigger, configure how and when you'll be notified. In the Notify With section, choose your notification methods: play a sound, send email, send text messages, or send push notifications to your mobile device. Below that, choose what information gets included. Use all fields for everything or selected below to check only specific data points. Under Options, the Submit setting controls when your alert becomes active, now starts immediately, or at a specified time schedules it. The Expire setting determines how long it stays active, not specified runs indefinitely, or at a specified time sets an expiration date. The Alert for Reverse Crossover determines whether your alert stays active after triggering. No alert triggers once and becomes inactive. Create Silent Alert or Create Regular Alert, keep it active and continuously retriggering. When triggered, it automatically creates a new alert with the opposite condition. For example, bid at or above $304 creates bid below $304 when triggered, which then creates bid at or above $304 again, cycling indefinitely until canceled. Once configured, click Create. Your alert is now active. To manage alerts, go to MarketWatch tab, then Alerts subtab. You'll see all alerts listed with symbols, conditions, and status. On your charts, active alerts display as triangle arrows on the price axis. OCO alerts show 2 arrows for both conditions. To replace or delete an alert from the chart, right-click the arrow. To manage from the MarketWatch list, right-click the alert or use the hamburger icon. You can only replace one alert at a time, even for OCO alerts. Alerts stay active even when Thinkorswim is closed. Without email or text notifications, you won't know alerts triggered until you log back in. Watchlists let you group and monitor symbols. You can access watchlist functions from the sidebar, the MarketWatch Quotes subtab, or any detached watchlist gadget window. To create or modify from a watchlist gadget, you'll always use the watchlist name dropdown. To create or modify a watchlist from the MarketWatch Quotes subtab, you will always use the hamburger icon to access the functions. From these main menus, you can create a new watchlist or scan query. You can import symbols, edit, or share the currently active watchlist. You can share, delete, or edit other watchlists by using the drop-downs in the subsections on the main menu. Importing symbols can only be done with the currently loaded watchlist in the gadget or when creating a new watchlist. You can import symbols from the clipboard or import from CSV or text files. Be careful with the Insert Symbols option though. Replace current symbols will delete all existing symbols in that watchlist and replace them with the imported ones. Add to Current Symbols keeps your existing symbols and adds the new ones to the list. When creating or editing a watchlist, click the empty cell at the bottom of the symbol column, type a symbol, and press Enter to add symbols. To remove a symbol, click it, press Delete, and press Enter. To sort your watchlist, click the column header. An up arrow appears for ascending order. Click again for descending. Click a third time to remove sorting. To customize columns, right-click any column header and select Customize. Available items on the left shows all options. Current set on the right shows your active columns. Add or remove items until you have what you want to see. Reorder the column layers from top to bottom as you want them to appear from left to right in the watch list. Click OK to save. Scan queries let you filter symbols based on specific criteria to find trading opportunities. You can create them from the hamburger menu in the MarketWatch Quotes subtab or the name dropdown in a watchlist gadget, or directly in the Scan tab at the top. When creating a scan query, first choose what symbols to scan using the Scan In dropdown. You can select from categories like all stocks or all indices, watchlists, or by industry sectors. The Intersect with dropdown lets you narrow it further by selecting a second group, so the scan will only show symbols that appear in both. For example, intersecting with all optionable shows only stocks with options available. The Exclude dropdown removes symbols from the scan results, which is useful if you want to exclude OTC stocks or other specific groups. Add filters by clicking Add Filter. To remove a filter, click the X. You can add filters for stocks, options, fundamentals, studies, or patterns. Stock filters cover metrics like price, volume, or percent change. Options filters cover Greeks, probabilities, or values. Fundamental filters cover corporate data. Pattern filters find chart patterns like triangles, wedges, or head and shoulders. Study filters scan based on technical indicators. As you modify the filters, Thinkorswim shows how many symbols match your criteria. Your filters work in conditional groups. All of the following requires symbols to meet every condition. None of the following excludes symbols that meet any condition, and any of the following includes symbols that meet at least one condition. Once you have the filters configured, the drop-downs at the bottom let you customize how many results display, what type of symbols to show, and how the results are sorted. Click Scan to run the query. Results display in a watchlist format. If your scan includes pattern filters, a patterns column appears showing which patterns were found. Click the pattern icon to see a chart with the patterns highlighted. To save your scan query, click the hamburger menu and select Save Scan Query. Give it a name. You can load saved scans anytime from the same menu or from the name dropdown in any watchlist gadget. That covers the essential setup and configuration for Thinkorswim. Now you know how to optimize performance, navigate the platform, manage studies, create alerts and watch lists, and place orders with confidence. Remember, Thinkorswim is an incredibly powerful platform with more features than we could cover in a single video. Don't feel overwhelmed. Start with the basics we covered here and gradually explore more advanced features as you get comfortable. Take your time building your workspace and chart styles. The effort you put into setup now will save you hours of repetitive work later. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.